Kemba, as again, he can throw a little low key shade. Not enough to where he's just like
Yeah.
absolutely giving you the flicking you off, or just a little bit to let you know that he didn't think something was all that cool.
It's
Uh,
that Southern
when
hospitality type of shade. Like I know he lived in North Carolina for most of his career. I know he's a New York boy.
mhm,
But it's one of those bless your hearts, but they really are trying to say something else. That's the kind
yeah,
of shade that he
yeah,
throws. It feels
yeah,
sweet, but
yeah.
you know it's not.
Exactly. He's hitting you with that soft but sweet,
Yeah.
effective killer.
I don't
So
blame
it's
him.
yeah, and he was asked, at a recent press conference, now he was the New York Knicks, about just being believed in and things like that, and his quote was this: "I definitely feel like Boston believed in me, but they traded me,
Yeah. Hmm.
And then before folks actually latched onto that, he says, "So yeah, I don't think they didn't believe in me." And so I read that, and I'm thinking, I know what you did, Kimba. I know exactly what you did. And you know what? I am not mad at you, because if you don't pay close attention to it, you'll think, oh, whatever, whatever. But if you're really listening, you will see the low key shade that he's doing at the Celtics. And to his credit, I understand that. I mean, when you are hurt, when you're dealing with an injury, and you're trying to work your way back into the swing of things, and you're having unexpected setbacks, which seem to be the case with Kimba, and a team trades you, and they know that where you are in your career, they trade you to a team that ain't trying to win a champ. Oklahoma City ain't trying to win a championship. Now they trying to stack chips, not championships, trade chips, first round chips,
Mhm.
draft lottery chips, those type of chips. But to me, those type of chips, it's like healthy potato chips. It's a chip, but it don't really have much value. I need my salty, greasy, put it on a paper towel, and the paper towel get damp
I
because it
can't.
soaks up all the oil. I need the real chips, not the
Real
healthy,
chips.
yeah, not the
Baked,
vegetable
like
chips.
you know, the baked chips.
Exactly. We don't want exactly. So I they send him to a team that's not trying to win a championship. They're just trying to gather assets. And
Yeah.
to Kimba's credit, left some money on the table to go play with a team in New York that's always wanted him. I mean, people forget that when Kimba was a free agent and he re-signed his previous deal with Charlotte, New York was very interested. When
Hmm.
he came up on his last free agency period, New York, I know for a fact I talked with folks with the
Hmm.
Knicks organization who made no secret about, yeah, Kimba's somebody that if Charlotte doesn't pay that man his money, we want in on that. And Kimba admitted that New York was a team that had his attention before he signed with the Celtics. So no one is surprised that he's back in with that organization. And no one should be surprised if he throws a little bit of shade at the Celtics,
Yeah.
because, again, Kimba, he's such a good dude. And when he's healthy, he's such a good player. But the Celtics, frankly, I think didn't have much of a choice. They
Yeah.
had to do something significant with this roster. And when you look at all the potential chips that they had to play with, his was the one chip that made the most sense to flip, because you knew it would open up some things for you that could potentially give you opportunities to be better. And that's what this always comes down to. If you don't win a championship, your goal the next season is to be better. And I do think that by trading Timba, it is going to make the Celtics a better team down the road.
I'll admit I always have a soft spot for players in the league that it's usually height related, but they have a chip on
Oh,
their
so
shoulder.
you,
No,
oh
I'm
Lord.
look, I'm being real
Kwani,
though.
just because you vertically challenged, don't mean that that's why Kimba
No, but
will
okay,
be shade.
but that's not the only reason. I think when you look at when you compare, I'm gonna make it personal. So when you compare the landscape of the NBA and then you compare the landscape of media, sports media overall, there are always
Okay.
the from a physical standpoint at least, or even just other background aspects that people want to decide, there are always going to be reasons why people don't think that you can be successful on their team, on their
Right.
roster, on their broadcast, whatever the reason may be. So
Right.
with
Right.
Kemba, I know Isaiah had a similar issue, but that was obviously also injury related. The reason why I said that is because there are a lot of times where people will make fun of the way that someone will have a chip on their shoulder. And even if there is a circumstance where it's an injury or it may be another issue that doesn't align with what a team is looking for, you're allowed to feel hurt. You're allowed to feel some type of way because that team didn't want you. Sometimes you take it personally to the point where it's a bitter chip, but then other times it's a point where you're just like, all right, I'm going to go somewhere else and do better because clearly they didn't want me. Look at Tom Brady. The Patriots weren't willing to pay him. He went to Tampa Bay, brought a championship. I know that's a whole other sport, but
That's the
all of that
ultimate.
being
That's the
said,
ultimate get back right there.
exactly. A lot of times people may not see your value. Maybe Kemba's injury, the last few years, it hasn't been great, but maybe he'll bounce back to the point where he is leading the Knicks to at least a playoff game or a few.
Well,
But whatever the case may be, I understand it because there are a lot of times overall where you may not be the right fit for that specific situation.
mhm,
You go somewhere else and it ends
right.
up working out. And for Kemba, as you mentioned, him being a very pleasant person to work with in the media,
Mhm.
seeing the way that he championed his teammates. That's another person where you look at their career and you know that there have been ups and downs, but you look at them having that homecoming and you're like, that's another thing you want to root for because you have your chip on your shoulder and hopefully you're able to prove the people that didn't believe in you wrong. That's always anyone's goal and whatever you do.
Well, Kwani, as you know, and our folks who have watched the podcast, over the past few months, one of my favorite sayings is one of my favorite T-shirts, and it is
Mhm.
"Stay
Oh yes,
salty."
yes,
It is
exactly.
stay salty. I
Stay
love
salty.
it when players stay salty because to me, it allows you to just lock in and just want
Right.
to play your ass off because they did me, at least in my eyes, they did me
Yeah.
wrong. And
Yeah,
if you're
exactly.
Kemba
That's
Walker,
what I
you
hear.
better believe the radar gun will be locked and loaded to be knocking down shots. That might be one of his most efficient games all NBA season. Nothing personal against Tatum, nothing against. He loves those guys. His time here, he made it 100% clear that he wanted to do whatever he could to help those guys get better. But guess what?
Hmm.
Now that he's with the Knicks, he's trying to bust their ass. He's trying to drop 50. I'm telling you, if the Knicks are up against the Celtics and Kemba has 47 points and there's like 2 minutes left, I guarantee you he gonna be calling for that ball. He will be calling for that ball because there is nothing sweeter than getting back at your ex who cut you loose. Let's be
Exactly.
real.
And
You
just
don't
to
forget that.
clarify, yeah,
Not only did they cut you loose, but they cut you loose like they sent you to Oklahoma City.
of
Not
all
to,
places.
not. Of the 20 some odd cities in the NBA, Oklahoma City is probably bottom five in terms of cities that NBA players want to call home. And that's where they sent you. And so for Kimba, I absolutely endorse him staying salty. Absolutely. And I hope he plays well. The Celtics are I think they'll beat the Knicks when they play. But if Kimba drops a 50 piece on him and loses, I am absolutely cool with that.
No problem with
I am
that.
absolutely cool with that. No problem at all.
I wanted to
At all.
clarify for the NBA snobs though, when you say the Garden, it technically is the Madison Square Garden, which is where the
Yeah.
Celtics season opener. Shout out to whoever made the NBA schedule on October 20th. The Celtics will be at Madison Square Garden facing off against Kemba Walker and Evan Fournier. So
The Stay
that will
Salty series
Stay
begins.
Salty will be the headline. Sherrod will be courtside giving us all the
I'm gonna
updates.
find a way.
I'm gonna speak it into
There is
existence for you.
there's like a 99.9% chance I will be in New York City when
Honestly,
the Stay Salty series begins. That's what we're gonna just let's just call it what it is. It's the Stay Salty series. Let's
I
go.
might need to go find my way up in that series as well because that will be a series worth being at.